So I'm Jason Archer here from AbacusBio, and I'm here with James van Bohemen from Rangitaiki Station. Just tell us a bit about your role at Rangitaiki, James.
You go, Jace. Farm operations manager at Rangitaiki, so kind of oversee the grazing of the sheep, beef and deer unit. And then on top of that, we've also got a intensive beef finishing unit to the side, which I don't really get involved with, but basically just the grazing management with the sheep, beef breeding and the deer breeding and finishing.
Yeah, so big job, busy man.
Yeah, can be at times, but we've got an able team, which certainly helps.
Yeah, and just to make your job a bit harder, you're also managing one of the protein test herds that we've got this project going on.
Yep, no, that's right. It's all go, I guess.
Yep. And so we've pretty much just got through killing the first cohort of your steer progeny a couple of months ago, and just tell us, and they're being killed through Silver Fern Farm at Pacific under the BFQ program. Tell us how that went. How did the season start out?
No, good. So we actually had a really good season last year, and we started off. Our first kill was in December, and we got pretty excited when we saw some pretty big weights of some pretty big cattle, and killed them, and unfortunately didn't hit the EQ to what we'd hoped. So we learnt a lot from that, and then certainly we were able to lift it going forward, and I think we got up high 70s, 80s in those later kills, which certainly paid off. And
compared to a national average of 30%, they were coming through at the end. After a bit of a slow start. So what did you change?
The biggest thing for us was just looking at the animal itself. We actually got our Silver Fern stock agent involved, Richie James, and not disregarding the weight so much, but looking at the animal and how prime the animal was, and really whether it was whether it was ready to kill, and as a result we saw the massive gains in EQ.
Yeah.
It was killing an animal on an individual basis as opposed to just the mob average, weight gain, which previously we have chased.
Yep. So they were cattle with a bit more cover, a bit more finish on them.
Yeah.
Higher carcass weight.
I mean, it certainly did change the carcass weight from where we've normally looked at maybe a 600 kilo. We get pretty excited and start looking at trucks. Some of those lines would have been finished at 640, 650 average.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, just going back to finishing the individual animal, not focusing on a weight.
Yeah. So you're running a second winter system, a 2-year system?
Yep. Our steers go through 2 winter system and then come out and get killed. Yeah.
And what was it like in that early kill when the results were not so good? What was letting them down? Was it the pH? Was it the marbling? Fat depth?
The biggest thing was marbling and ossification is where we lose out.
Right.
And which is really just not being prime. I think you'll be able to correct me, but marbling's the last fat to be laid down. So if it's not ready, it's not there. You're not going to hit EQ.
Certainly the last fat to be seen.
Yeah.
So you're right. Yes. And so pH wasn't too much of an issue for you?
pH, we've got a pretty good team. I do take my hats off to one of the shepherds, Megan. She's unreal with stockmanship, and work pretty closely with her in terms of managing them and yarding them. So put a big emphasis on that and really trying to eradicate that problem.
Yep.
In terms of the whole EQ learning system, I think pH is one thing that certainly can be managed.
Yep.
It's probably not so much a genetic thing, but good stockmanship, not mixing your mobs, it all helps.
Yep.
And we saw that.
Yep. Dogs, do you use dogs to get them in?
Dogs, what we did this year was, because part of the program we needed a pre-slaughter weight, so we'd bring them in the day before, weigh them. We were killing an Angus and reserve line, so we just run them through, get the weight, draft them off, leave them in holding paddocks close to the yards, and then that next morning might use a quiet heading dog to run them in.
Yep, just keep it nice and quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're making some changes in your system.
Yep. Previously, we've wintered our steers, our yearling steers, basically as a cow. We've put them up on the hill behind the wire. They've held their weight. They haven't gained. This year, we actually tried fodder beat. It wasn't a huge success, but just the reverse thinking of not so much holding those cattle, but trying to grow them. I think it'll be interesting to see the results this year.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I'll look for, I guess, is ossification and how that changes. All our cattle, we're all marginal in that ossification. We're not quite green.
Yeah.
But it certainly plays into the equation with the pH.
Yeah. And so at the other end, when you come to kill them, what are you expecting to
Well,
to do? Are they going to kill any earlier, any heavier?
Yep, no, it certainly will bring our kill forward. We weighed the CPT line just yesterday actually, and they're sitting at about 507 average. So we hope to get, we hope to have a kill before Christmas definitely.
Yep.
But where our average kill date might have been, January, February, March. Hopefully it can come forward. Be looking mid-January, early February.
So you plan to use that great spring you have at Rangitaiki?
Yeah, no, we'll definitely capitalise on that.
Excellent. And is it worth chasing this premium?
It's a question I do ask. I'm not too sure on the numbers. As we've seen in our kill dates, kill data where you're killing at heavier weights, is it worth it? It'd be interesting to see the numbers. Can you tell me them?
Well, I don't think I can from the point of view. I think it's highly dependent on your farm and your farming system, so it's something that we've got to look at for each individual situation. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what are the competing uses of that feed, and can you make more money from something else, or can we make more money for putting that weight on? But I think the potential is there to grow those animals, and once you've got the animal on the ground and you've done half the work, you might as well get a decent carcass weight out of it. We get paid for that carcass, extra kilos, even if we don't hit the grading, we still get paid the kilos. If we get a premium on it, a grading premium, we get it on the whole carcass, not just the extra kilos you put on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And something I learnt recently when I was lucky enough to go and spend 3 weeks in the US and spend some time talking to their cattle industry and looking at their cattle industry, and they're massively professional about what they do, even though they're highly segmented but they're very expert at their part of the chain. And one thing I learnt over there was they told me that as cattle start to finish or get very close to finishing, and their live weight gain sort of tapers off, and we talk about it a lot too. You see cattle that their gain just slows down from on a live weight basis. But what they actually told me was, actually, if you took that on a carcass weight basis, the carcass weight's still growing, because what's happening is those animals, the yield's going on them. And so the carcass weight's still going even at that point. So you can actually take them a little bit past that point where you see the live weight starting to slow. And according to them, you're still getting it in carcass weight. So I thought that was interesting, and probably just another justification for maybe taking those animals on a little bit heavier, getting that better meat eating quality, get some more kilos of carcass. You get paid for the kilos, the processor gets processing efficiency, and we get better quality. We get that marbling express. So my feeling is, yes, it's something we should be looking hard at.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think, and I hope that the EQ meat industry is definitely growing. So hopefully that premium is going to come, because the demand for it's certainly going to grow, and ultimately the farmers will get rewarded.
And look, you look at all the threats that are out there. Plant-based hamburgers or whatever. Is the future going to be in producing more hamburger meat, or is it going to be in producing more prime beef? And my vote's for prime beef. I just think we've got to get better at doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my Rangitaiki sheep beef and deer hat for that one. Maybe not the bull beef.
Yeah.